Ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful crypto space, today has been a beautiful day for all our coins, as most of them are pumping again. I know we're too early to state that the bull market is in a crazy raging point again, but I think what I've been stating throughout the last couple of days here on the channel is now starting to take an effect. They'll have two sides, but first I'll say sometimes when it comes to your investments, things get way worse before they get better. And I think with all the trades I've shown you on this channel throughout time as well, that story applies. For example, most of these I opened just yesterday. I think the Solana one is a slightly different one, and the Bitcoin has had multiple buys. But basically, Ethereum just last night, Dogecoin was at a loss just now, XRP was at a loss. And if we're overlooking the market right now, since Bitcoin is back above 69K, and actually at 69.4, Ethereum back at 3,400, I keep realizing one thing, and that's the one thing I'll talk more about on the trading channel just now, but I've said it here before. If you just commit, you believe the bull market's here, and you just go for it fully, not holding back, I do not know how you cannot win. I just think the people that lose have some, let me put a different light, commitment issues, because some of the coins we've been holding for a while are pumping like crazy today. And AOS, right, one of my main coins, has gone to what, 45 cents maybe? Something along those lines. But you see what I did? I just buy the dip of coins that I highly believe in over a longer term. And yes, it is down significantly from its all-time high. The all-time high for AOS was like $2.50. And it's down a lot from where it was months ago because it was $1. But that's what you get even in bull markets. Then again, the phase we are currently in, I've stated many times, I think lasts about 70 weeks. We're about 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks in, another year or so of crazy gains are to flow. So even if things get worse before they get better, the last part is all that matters. They will get better. So if you're watching this now, make sure you go ahead and press that like button, because if you're not making profits right now, that is fine. But use that to learn for the next leg up. Little side story. It's not like every single person out there knows proper risk management from the start. I mean, this person here, I think it's a joke, but I'm not 100% sure. To be transparent, I was up close to $500,000 2 months ago and blew it all, pretty much zeroed out. Never felt this physically sick watching my trades. Don't know how to move from here. And again, I'm not so sure if he is joking or not. Maybe he is really telling a story about his greed, I guess, back a while back. But there comes a point, right? I have, for example, had it many times where I've invested $2,000 into a meme coin. It turns into, I'm going to say 700K, 600K, 500K. And again, this is something I have on a regular basis. Not to be cocky, because most of the time I lose 95% of it. I'm not a good cash outer. But for somebody to which, $100,000 or $500,000 is life-changing, this can be devastating, can leave them hurting for years to come. With me, as I stated before, I have had this so many times. If I look at my portfolio, people who look at that and look at those numbers will probably shit themselves just looking at the amount of money that I lose on a daily basis just from having a crypto portfolio, basically. But you get used to it over time. The story with this one is, though, the more risk, the more you're able to profit. But on the opposite side, there's risk to that story, right? So my strategy for the most part is just, in less bullish of a market, stick to your main coins or buy these crazier coins on spot at lower and lower prices. Almost any person that I know is right now having less money than they had back in March or April, but the goal is not to have more money every day. The goal is, at the peak of the cycle, have the peak of your money. So earlier in March or April, yes, I had significantly more because many of my AI coins were up 6x from where they're at right now. But it doesn't really matter. I think many of those coins will again do a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, 20x multiplier from here. And so again, it becomes just a question of, will I recommit to those coins that I believed in back then, or will I pivot now to different coins? And once more, the reason I'm actually showing you this is because many times I show you accounts with longer term positions open, but just now I've actually been building this account that I've been thinking of just only doing really short term trades on, because it just kind of clicked in my head. What I always tell you guys on this channel I should show more of, similar with Dusty Trades, which is why I'm doing a video about what I'm trading now every single day, because it's honestly not that hard since the next 12 months or so are playing on easy mode. After that, it's going to be another, I'm going to say, year and a half or so of not so good times. But that was, for all of us, up to about November of 2022. The last year and a half, even though for most people it didn't feel like a bull market, it's basically been bull market all along. And again, I have a couple of trades that I sometimes showcase that prove that. If you had opened one about a year ago, any position on almost any coin, you would have had crazy amounts of profit, especially if you were able to buy the dip a little bit later. Anyway, what I'm looking into right now, guys, and that is what I'll be getting you guys a couple of videos on really short term here, is which altcoins to pivot into at these still lower prices. I have gotten myself a good stablecoin stash. I remember a few weeks back, I told you I'm selling most of these garbage things, mostly because in a bull market, there are two strategies. Strategy number one is you try to buy the dip of the dip of anything you believe is undervalued. Strategy number two is you wait for a slightly better market and then go into the sectors which are popping off. It's the difference between value and momentum investing, and it's just a matter of what you more prefer. Basically, strategy number one is slightly more difficult on the mental because you might be down a lot on your money, or you might have to keep on adding more money, more fuel to the fire that you only see going down. Strategy number two is less profit because you're buying something that's already up a lot. But the reason I do this so much is because most of the time in a bull market, if you're just buying into something that's doing well, you have another few weeks or months of it doing well. Some slight dips in here, but that's the usual guideline. Whereas with value investing, you're better than the market. You know, you're going to say, you know what, I should buy this right now because it will be up a ton in many months from now. It is just extremely hard. And for the most part, people are better off just doing that with a Bitcoin or Ethereum that will almost guaranteed go up. And if you use some leverage with it, it is just all not that difficult to make profits with it. It's just when you get greedy and are looking for that 1000x that things get hard. But just think about it. If you had bought Bitcoin just a month ago, as an example, the price would right now be up 14%, or with Solana 34%. And since we usually go for 10x leverage, even with XRP, that would have been 140% profit, 340% profit, 270% profit just on those three. Now with Ethereum, you would have been really neutral, which is why you sometimes spread out the position, which is why on this account right now, also I've got multiple different trades open, not just one. And you might say, Dusty, but when exactly are you buying? I've said this before. If you play the game right, it does not matter when you buy. It's about consistently keeping up. You can start today. You could have started 3 weeks ago. You can start in 3 weeks. It doesn't really matter because it's an average rolling price anyway. And that means if you right now get into XRP, Bitcoin, whatever today, right? Whatever coin. Right now, Bitcoin is 69.5. If you get in today and you basically say from here on forward, I'm going to have a position open and try to buy lower. You're thinking about where you're going to be at in 6 months from now, not where you're going to be at in 48 hours or 1 or 2 days, 5 days, 6 days. Because again, it's a different level of stress and it's a different level of success. And there's also differences with, let's say, for example, you're trying to trade for the next 2 hours. You know, you want to open a position now, close in 2 hours. First of all, you got to time it a lot better. Second of all, you might need a terminal, which is something like 𝗓𝗏 or so, where you can actually see all the different, I'm going to say, exchanges here with different liquidity. If you want to open a big position, you want to open a $10 million market trade, where are you going to do that, right? You want to most likely split it over different exchanges to have the lowest spread. You're going to have to measure for spread which exchange at that exact point has the best price. If you're doing spot or very low leverage, there are a ton of other cool things you can do, like some of those hedge funds do, right, with offsetting their positions against the leveraged version, or basically the contract version of it. But again, it all, for the most part, is based on you choosing some strategy or vertical that you like. In my case here, it's buying altcoins when the market's really good, backing down on all, or I should say backing up, doubling down on altcoins that I really believe in, and making sure I increase my crypto positions, not all in one day and just hope for the trade. No, I open it with size, which is, different on my different strategies, but I open it with some money, and then my goal is to just get that average price lower, or slowly but surely over the next days or weeks, add more and more money to the position to get an average price rather than just a one-time price. And that's again because sometimes you open it now and it goes amazing up. Sometimes you open it now and it only keeps going down for weeks to come. And since that going down is very hard to handle mentally, I prefer to just split it over a period of time, to not open just once, but again, keep opening. And you kind of see these green lines in here as well, like a little bit over there. For the most part, these lines just mean you have different buy orders open. And this little section in green here just means there's one Bitcoin basically in the trade. And you can't see, but here it usually says the amount of profit that you're in. You can see it on the bottom right here though. So for example, this one Bitcoin right now, we only put $6,000 in and it's in $6,000 worth of profit. The Dogecoin was at a really big loss just now, but it's actually in a slight positive again. The Ethereum trade again was at a big loss just yesterday when I opened it up for the first little bit, but it didn't matter because again, I'm trying to get an average price. So right now it's in about $3,000 worth of profit. Solana trade, I think we opened before. It's in roughly $2,000 worth of profit. This was only open with $2,000 as well. And then the XRP one was in a big loss, which is kind of funny. Right now, again, in $200 worth of profit. But that's, again, also a very, very minor trade. But usually, I don't really like to show you guys anything when it comes to these trades. Sometimes, if it's my main account, because I do not like the pressure or maybe the flex parts. But I think with these type of trades and these type of challenges, since it's more achievable, I think not everybody can do this, but a lot of people watching this channel will have a few $1,000s, like for example here, $1,300 to play around with, or maybe a $5,000 trading game bag so they can open a $1,300 position, for example. That this is actually a lot more fun to show than just braggalicious type of setups. Again, just my thoughts though, but I definitely am open to feedback on all that. To get back to it though, right now we are seeing a breakout of sorts like described on Dusty Trades that could set a good precedent. It could mean that if we keep pushing through, and there's a little bit of wiggle room here, but if we keep pushing through here throughout the next couple of days, again, we expect today to be a pretty good pump day. But if this sets forward, it could mean that we overtake these previous, let me quickly show you here, these previous high points, so the ones back in March and in May. And if we do, it could be that the bull market finally continues on, because remember, Trump said Gary Gensler out and we're buying and this, that. All these different senators, all these different politicians are right now so significantly bullish. Yes, it was weekend though, so the price didn't really react to it as much. And again, sometimes things get slightly worse before they get better. But all these different vouchers that were given to crypto over the weekend, this sticks, this lasts. And I think the best trader that I know, and one of my good friends, 𝗕𝗫'𝘀, said it the best. Again, this man is or has been the #1 trader on the entire Bybit. He's one of the biggest crypto wallets that's tracked. This man is a whale if I've ever seen one. And let's just quickly read through. I thought it was obvious to people, but evidently not. So I'll give an extremely detailed breakdown. And before we go on, make sure you press that freaking like button, because right now, guys, you are at the brink of the most profitable time in your entire freaking history, and hopefully your entire bloodline. Give an extremely detailed breakdown of why both Trump's speech and its associated price action are ridiculously bullish. Leading into the speech, there were billions of dollars of short-term speculative Bitcoin buys and calls that were open for the sole purpose of attempting to catch a plus 10% move in the event that the rumor was true, that Trump would be buying 1 million Bitcoin midway through the speech when it seemed less apparent that he would be saying this. Many of these speculators started closing and Bitcoin reached a low of 66.5 before the speech had even finished. If he had ended the speech right then and there, Bitcoin would have easily sold off to 65,000 or lower, which is likely the price most speculators first started heavily bidding before the event at. The thing that's noteworthy is that the conference frontrunners did not get what they wanted in the end, buying 1 million Bitcoin, etc. Their actual targets can be seen from the options activity, where the most heavy volume is centered around August 2nd calls with $70,000 as a strike price. Meaning that since the speech, there has been hundreds of millions of dollars of sell pressure from low timeframe frontrunners closing their buys after not getting a black swan candle. For example, this trader closed $175 million of longs in 1 hour period, about 8 hours after the event. So to make it clear, without the existence of frontrunners / short-term speculators, Bitcoin likely would have been trading at around 64,000 going into the speech. The fact that the majority have now closed and we're trading at 68. So this means, again, right, just to give you a little summary here, this means that just before the event started, people were heavily buying, causing the price to go up slightly quicker than it should have. But a lot of those people were selling it off into the event as they did not get Trump's speech the way they wanted it to, but the price still held up quite nicely, which meant the fact that the majority now closed off and we're trading at 68 implies that we're actually trading much higher now, with these positions having swapped to longer term investors, again, away from the short-term options, who have bought hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin post-event. And this isn't surprising at all, because everything about the event was objectively extremely bullish. The 45th president of the freaking United States and favorite runner announced that the US would have a literal strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. a level of public acceptance unheard of in history of crypto. The shift in political climate is massive, let alone the fact that billions of US-owned Bitcoin wouldn't be sold and more would be stockpiled in the future from seizures. Even the announcement of the removal of Gensler alone would be enough to pump Bitcoin multiple percent in an isolated context. Indeed, if Trump was president now and he said, hey, we're going to fire Gary Gensler, I do believe he would have pumped the Bitcoin price or crypto prices by a good amount. Not to mention Senator Loomis introducing a Bitcoin buying bill immediately afterward. And even without Trump having guaranteed odds of winning, this speech sets an almost mandatory precedent for Democrats as well. With nearly 100 million Americans who hold crypto in some form, Democrats are likely forced to introduce crypto-friendly policy as well, lest they lose millions of votes from those who don't want their investments to go down. When you read fast-moving content on crypto, it's often written by day traders who are favoring short-term movements. Many talked about today's event being sell the news, right? Even in the comments I saw it, because with the existence of many short-term buys to be closed, there was in fact selling and a moderate price drop that occurred on the speech. But this has no relation to the long-term implications of the event, and it's misleading or uninformed to believe that one can directly infer the bullish bearish directly from price alone. And I'll tell you right now, guys, I have never been as bullish as I am right now. I can kind of split that up two ways, which is I have been more bullish on altcoins than I am right now, but I'm never more bullish. I've never been more bullish on the crypto sector than I am right now today because of everything that's been happening over the past 48 hours. And the only one thing I'll tell you is if you're not excited, I don't want to call you uninformed, but then we just don't fit in the same freaking door. Because I personally think everything that's happening right now is just so massive. It can't be denied. That's all I'm going to say about this. If you're not going crazy right now, and again, on the very, very short term, things might get slightly worse before they get better. It's just the way it is. And perhaps at $72,000, we will see another rejection and a slight little, I guess, break, just more consolidation. But I know that the longer term, as I said before 1,000 times, is set. And so right now, it is, again, starting to get time to look into the right altcoins to buy for the longer term. The times are returning. Again, I still not go 100% into altcoins. It's not that time. But Solana keeps looking better. Ethereum versus Bitcoin keeps looking better. And I'm getting ready for the next big leg up. But yeah, that's about it. Make sure you stick around for tomorrow's video, or maybe even later today, who knows. And if you want to trade crypto, make sure you check out our trading channel.